What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with another Toku Tuesday here at A-plus Morphinominal, as we're about to get into Zenkaiger episode number 2 today, guys. That's right, Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger is finally here. We went ahead and kicked off the first episode last week, guys, with a stellar review for you guys. If you haven't had the opportunity to check it out, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below, or maybe in the cards above here if you want to go ahead and check out our thoughts on the first episode. But we're in full swing here. Episode number 2 wind up dropping this week, and we got the opportunity to check it out. If you haven't yet, though, just be mindful. This is a spoiler review, so we will be talking about it very heavily in here, all the nitty-gritty and details. So check out the episode, and then certainly go ahead and check out our review, ladies and gentlemen. You know, when it comes to episode number 1, I was a fan of it. I really did enjoy it. Took me a couple of times to watch the episode to kind of really get Karamazor out of my bloodstream a little bit, out of my system, and really welcome in a brand new Super Sentai season. And while I necessarily wasn't blown away by the first episode, I really enjoyed it, and I had a really fun time watching it. A ton of potential that I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how it continues to grow in this season. But I'm all on board, guys. I'm all on board, and I'm ready to go ahead and tackle this. So guys, let's get into episode number 2. I hope you guys love my new display here for a Zenkaiger, switching it up a little bit now that we have to say farewell to Karamazor and add a little bit of color to our channel here a little bit more. So I'm absolutely loving what Zenkaiger is certainly offering to us. And when it comes to episode number 2 here, this feels very much like it just continues right off where we wind up leaving in the previous week's episode, right? Because last time we watched, everybody's mushrooms started popping up on people's head. We even had Zyuran and Kaito kind of go into the alleyway where the candy shop was at, and saw other people also with the mushrooms. So when we actually start this episode, though, there are no mushrooms, but we see exactly how the Tojitendo actually do in fact sort of are the main reason why we wind up having all the mushrooms sprouting up in here, if you will. And so what we come to discover by one of the Tojitendo, and I believe his name is I'm gonna butcher this. I know I'm gonna butcher this. So Rudy. Rude. That's what it is. Rudy. Adam, come on now. Rude, who I always look at as like the evil Short Circuit, or like evil Johnny 5 is what I honestly see him every time that I watch him. But I love his design in here. But what we come to learn from Rude is the fact that he also has created his own gears, if you will, right? Like while the Super Sentai team has their Sentai gears, Rude certainly has created his own Toji gears, if you will. And I love the premise of these Toji gears. They work very similar to that of the Super Sentai gears. The fact that those gears allow you to use the abilities of whatever Super Sentai team was from that particular parallel world that they wind up utilizing, right? Whereas the Toji gears here, since they've captured parallel worlds and planets and things like that, each of those gears that the planets are, or the worlds are confined in or trapped in, they also have their own powers and their own abilities. Like whatever that particular theme of that planet or world certainly was, it then attributes it to whatever the Tojitendo, like henchman or whatever the case may be, that Rude winds up giving it. And so it winds up sort of formulating and acclimating to whatever that particular world was. So in this week's episode, it was the mushroom world, or I believe Rude calls it the Shroomtopia Toji gear, if I remember correctly, where this guy has this ability to create not only mushrooms, but also the poisonous toxins that come out of the mushrooms. And so even though we start this episode off very much like that, you quickly come to see the mushrooms sprouting out all across the city, if you will. And this is exactly where we see Zyuran and Kaito kind of coming into play here. And immediately just really seeing them, it feels very much like we literally just left episode number 1, and these two characters literally just walk into episode 2 from where we left them off at, and they're immediately right back into the action, having to take care of this Mushroomtopia villain this week, or whatever the case may be. Some pretty fun stuff, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you. So I kind of dig the idea of seeing how the Tojitendo are using their gears compared to the Sentai gears. Now, it does also bring up a big question mark that I now have, considering the fact that we see that Kaito's family has in fact created the Sentai gears. We've got Ijiru, who's saying he created the Toji gears also. So it does make me wonder as to who created what first, right? Did Ijiru sort of steal Kaito's parents' sort of instructions or plans on how to create these gears? Have Ijiru and his parents actually maybe work together at some particular point in time for them to have the same ideas and same concepts, right? So the plot thickens when it comes to the mystery behind Kaito's parents and really how involved they were in not only the discovery of the parallel worlds, but the fact that somebody else has created gears very similar to that. There's got to be a connection there, right? There's absolutely got to be a connection there. But I really loved how they played up the theme for the Mushroomtopia in here. Even the idea of destroying the monster, right? And then having one of the big mechs kind of come in from Tojitendo and accidentally step on the Mushroomtopia gear, then also infuses him with the same abilities from that world, and it's even more massive than we can even expect. I mean, literally, it feels like the entire world winds up transforming, and we get some brilliant and just beautifully done set pieces, if you ask me. Some of them, which I'm pretty sure is all graphics, to say the least, at some times. But I will say, I think it just adds to a really great dimension visually, especially when it comes to the Zord battles, because I was blown away by the Zord battle here this week as we got introduced to the Zenkaiger Gaon, which was the combination of Gaon and Zyuran finally combining with one another. I was about to say Juru. Kaito finding out firsthand that he too cannot grow up just like the like some of the Kikaitopias that he was hoping for, right? When he clearly sees that Gaon and Zyuran aren't working together, the idea that he flips over his own Sentai gear thinking he was gonna grow. I was like, we're gonna get like an Ultraman situation here where Zenkaiser literally just grows, but that's not necessarily the case. He uses that ability to go ahead and form these two mechas together, and we have ourselves the Zenkaiger Zyuran Gaon, and I really loved it. It looked fantastic. Loved its abilities. The ability for it to go ahead and actually split apart and come back together, I think, was really gnarly. Getting a really cool cockpit also for Zenkaiser, him being really the only one inside of the body, considering the fact that the rest of his Rangers are in fact the mechas themselves. So I thought that was a really cool design that they wind up coming up with. But this fight sequence is almost as enjoyable and just almost on par with how much I loved Real Soldier. Now, Real Soldier was significantly different in the sense that they gave me a Zord that was so maneuverable. I've never seen anything like it, and it provided great action because of that. It honestly makes Real Soldier stand out to me when it comes to its Zord battles. But this also does, and not just because of the fantastic movement that we have from our Zenkaiger team, but also just, again, the themes and the set pieces, the really cool dynamic sort of shot selections that they have. It feels like there's a lot more energy in these Zord battles than what I'm certainly used to and certainly expected. Seeing the camera angles kind of go 360s or move up on top of buildings or around buildings as the Zords kind of move around and fight, all within, especially specifically in this episode, with the buildings and the mushrooms and stuff and fighting on top of the mushrooms. Just really great sort of techniques, effects-wise, that really just made this Zord battle really pop for me. So I'm hoping that if this is the type of Zord battles that we're going to be getting for the remainder of the season, count me in, man. Count me in, because I'm all on board. The mechas fight certainly blew me away. Even the opportunity to go ahead and see our Zenkaiger's fight too. Incredible action sequence also, and I'm absolutely loving the music for this series. Not only just the intro theme and the intro dance, which honestly I really, really love, but just even when it comes to the Megazord battles and throughout the entire episode, I really love the music. Super strong in here, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'm definitely going to love the action for sure. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the the stunt coordinator that does a lot of the wire work and sets up some of the stunts in here. I feel like they've had a long run when it comes to Super Sentai, and they were pretty active, I think, as a suit actor for Gokaiger. It definitely comes across as showy when it comes to Zenkaiger. Like, I didn't even think Gaon would have the moves that he certainly does, but he looked incredible in here when he actually transformed and things like that into his first form. I was really impressed to kind of see, despite the bulkiness that some of these characters have, especially as robots or Kikainoids, they move incredibly well. And I was so pleased to kind of see exactly how well the fight scenes honestly came together in here. So I was really enjoying that. But this story really is all about the idea of trying to acquire more Zenkaigers, right? It's time for recruitment. You got to bring allies on board. I love the fact that they at least try and do like a public service announcement, right? Like a PSA, like, hey, we're looking for members. He even has like a sign with him and things like that. They even get broadcast on television to try and bring people on board, but nobody's having it. Like, nobody wants to fight, right? Like, they're even trying to convince themselves that the idea of having mushrooms on their heads, like, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. Yeah, it's pretty cute on you, actually. You could probably rock that mushroom around. Like nobody wants to fight or get their hands dirty at all. So Kaito clearly is certainly was gonna have a struggle in this week's episode to try and find somebody to get on board with them. But honestly, I feel like for me, I'm becoming a bigger fan of Zyuran each and every episode. I know we're only 2 episodes in, but I really just dig his personality and his swag about him. The fact that he's a little bit of a party animal, if you will, loves to dance. Every time the music comes on, he's always like doing something. I absolutely love it. It's almost like we connect on like a musical vibe or whatever the case may be. So I really love seeing Zyuran in here again this week. But the man of the hour, if you will, or the focus for this episode was in fact Gaon. This was in fact sort of our very first appearance of him in this season, and he certainly makes an impact, to say the least. You know, I will say this. I find it super fascinating that he does not like his own kind. This is a guy who, like everybody else, got transported unexpectedly here to Earth and has spent the last month or so still trying to get acclimated. And one of the things that he quickly has come to learn is that he loves animals. Not only animals, but just life in general. Humans, animals, cats, dogs, it doesn't matter. It's the idea of being able to have something that feels good against you, that's cuddly, that's soft, you know what I mean, that actually has some emotion and feelings behind it, if you will. You know, when he considers other Kikainoids, he just sees them as just hardened and rough, right, and emotionless and cold, you know, just because of the fact that they are robots at the end of the day. So not even a really big fan of himself, even though he is a Kikainoid. I would be kind of curious to know what Gaon honestly thinks of himself, but we quickly come to see that he's just an animal lover, a lover of life, if you will. Doesn't want to see cute things harmed at all. So we really see him all episode long just gushing over everything, even becoming quite fond of Kaito himself to the point of almost annoyance, right, to the point to where he doesn't want anybody else to certainly recognize Kaito or talk to Kaito. Like, Zyuran's become like Kaito's bestie, it feels like. And anytime those two wind up having a conversation now, you've got Gaon who's kind of butting in or trying to take the attention away from Zyuran a little bit. So Zyuran and Gaon immediately are kind of butting heads, if you will. Maybe taking Zyuran's bestie away from him a little bit. So I'm pretty sure they're kind of rubbing each other the wrong way. But it is a dynamic that I am going to be fascinated with to see how it all comes together now that they are in fact teammates and they're almost sort of forced to kind of work together, despite the fact that Gaon really doesn't like any other Kikaitopias or Kikainoids. So, but I would like to see, like, once we do get ourselves a fully fledged team and he's got to work alongside 3 other Kikainoids, by that time will he have come around and maybe accepted his teammates a little bit more than he will sort of the enemy, you know what I mean? So I am super fascinated by that. I thought the henshin sequence was absolutely brilliant. But you know what? What I do find fascinating, too, is the idea that while Gaon very much is very, you know, he just has a very infectious sort of personality, very happy, very loving, if you will. But the moment that you harm something that he finds dear and adorable to him, this guy clearly can flip a switch. I mean, I almost became immediately terrified about the passion that ran through Gaon at the idea of like, no, you're not about to harm another single person or animal here on this planet. Like, you've done enough damage, sort of thing, right? And he's over here ripping off the mushrooms off of his head each time it kind of grows back, sort of thing. So a really unique personality, somebody that will gush about everything that he loves and become just emotionally annoying, it feels like, dragging you and wanting to talk to you and be around you, sort of thing, to immediately turning a switch and just becoming dead ass serious to stand up for what he believes needs to be fought for. And there's something really cool about that for me, because the music winds up changing. You start seeing everybody else kind of getting worked up, like, okay, all right, let's do this, man. Let's do this. Starting to get behind Gaon. And I love the fact too that once Kaito hands him his Geertlinger, he does the same thing that Zyuran did. He just shoots the henchman, I don't want to say accidentally, but I think he probably thought there was more that was certainly going to happen. But I love the fact that we have both of the Kikainoids just randomly offing one of them each and every time. And I'm wondering that's going to be a running joke. Like, I wonder if Majin's going to do that next week, or Vroom whenever he winds up sort of joining the group. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that it winds up being sort of a little bit of a running gag between everybody, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, guys, a quick honorable mention probably goes out to the other Sentai gear that they wind up using for was a Goggle 5, using the ribbons, weapons and things like that, which for me, I've never understood how the ribbons worked. It's a Super Sentai season that I've never watched. So the first time that I've ever actually seen the ribbons used in a attack sort of way was probably this. I mean, I might have seen it in Gokaiger, but I don't remember it sort of sending out electricity and electrocuting whoever it was. I found it funny of Kaito and Zyuran using it and then using it as a jump rope and then trapping him just to electrocute him, type of thing. I thought that was pretty funny, honestly. Yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Again, the action blew me away. The music blew me away. I said it's going to be an interesting dynamic between the team going forward for sure, considering the fact that we've got Gaon, who not a big fan of Kikainoids, but clearly has got to work alongside his new partner in Zyuran. Ijiroot is probably my favorite of the villains so far from Tojitendo, just because of the fact that he definitely feels like he's going to be very involved all season long. Him creating his gears, but we also know that Kaito's parents also created gears, right? So who created them first? Did one person steal them from the other? Who certainly knows? But there's a ton of stuff for us to be fascinated with in here, and I love the fact of the Toji gears being able to harness the abilities or the power of whatever world it certainly ended up capturing. So guys, listen, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think. Was there anything in particular that really stood out to you in this week's episode that you guys wanted to further go ahead and talk about? Definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that's probably going to go ahead and do it for us here. But we will, in fact, be back next Tuesday, as always, with another Zenkaiger review for you guys. And feel free to go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below after this airs on your thoughts on episode number 2. In the meantime, guys, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification so when we do drop brand new videos, you will be notified. Also, go ahead and hit that like button if you continue to love our content each and every week, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely goes a long way. But guys, do me a big favor. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Full throttle, non-stop.